what would be a good fit for your business. So with that said, we exist to train, educate, and support entrepreneurs of both new pre-venture and established businesses. And we're positioned within the nationwide network of SBDCs, and we offer resources, key connections at the state and national levels, and workshops such as this one, online and in-person support that equips us to help the Ocean State entrepreneurs reach the next level of growth. And I'll just take like 2 seconds just to toot our own horn for a second. We have so many smart people that work here that are really invested in your business growth. So I encourage you, if you have any area of your business that you'd like to talk with a counselor, please reach out to Elena and she can put you in touch with the appropriate counselor. We're so blessed to work with so many incredible people. So please take advantage of all of our resources. So what are Google Ads? We've seen them. Maybe there's some ads that you don't know are run by Google. So hopefully this will enlighten you on the types of ads that Google has. So there are 4 main types of Google Ads. There's shopping ads, search ads, display ads, and YouTube ads. All of YouTube's marketing is done through the Google Ad platform. Google owns YouTube ads. So all of that is within the Google network. I'm going to touch really quickly on shopping ads. And of all the ads, shopping ads are the most complicated. So if you have an e-commerce business, this really is going to skim the surface. And if you're interested in shopping ads, make sure you reach out. So when you enter in your search term, so right up here top on the, so this is like called the search bar. This is where people enter their keywords and what they're looking for. And these top ads on the very top of the screen that you can scroll right here, these are all shopping ads. They're usually or always above the search ads, which are text ads. So these are all shopping ads. This is all e-commerce management through Google Merchant. And you upload your product feed and your images and your descriptions. And you also are able to link to some third-party tools where some of them have the star ratings. And these are all your shopping ads. Next up is search ads. These are right below. So I whited out the shopping ads so you could see, but the text ads right below are shopping ads, and they will have the little word ad bolded right next to them. So you know that they're an ad. And then those are always right below the shopping ads. And then you have display ads. Oh, and just to go back, your shopping ads can also be on the right-hand side of your screen. So if you ever search for something and that bar that goes top to bottom on the right, those are also shopping ads. So display ads are ads you see within Google's display network. So you'll be on other websites. So I was here on Forbes and I was shopping for a yellow dress. So Shein picked that up and then served me an ad with a yellow dress. So all of the ads, the image ads you see on either your news networks or any of the websites you visit across the internet, those are all display ads that are managed through the Google Ads platform. There are some third-party platforms that you could do your display ads through, but the bulk of the inventory is through Google Ads. YouTube ads, there are several types of YouTube ads. There are the type when you are in the search bar and you're looking for videos at the top, you'll get ads that pulled up. And these are just text ads within the YouTube platform. You'll also get the sidebar and skippable ads. So if you've ever watched a video and you've had to wait for an ad to play, sometimes you have the option to skip, sometimes you don't. These are the skippable and the sidebar ads. These sidebars are always on the side of the YouTube platform. And just a note, not all YouTube ads have to be video ads. So it can be intimidating when you think of YouTube ads, but they don't have to be videos. You also have what is called discovery ads, and these are mobile focused ads. And you're also able to place them in Gmail. So if your customers have Gmail accounts, and just as a note, Google has talked about phasing out the Gmail ads. So I wouldn't invest a ton of time with email ads because they are phasing those out. But on like your home discovery screen and within YouTube, you'll find some discovery ads, and discovery ads work really well. Not only for product placements, but if you have like blogs or like informational stuff that you want to post, they work really well for that as well. So getting started, let's take a break and see if anyone has any questions. Any questions so far? All right, perfect. At any time, just pop your questions in the chat and Elena will ask them. Or if when we have these little breaks, if you just want to unmute yourself and ask a question, that's also fine. I'm unable to see the chat once I'm talking in the presenter's mode. So getting started. So I just wanted to go over what the account structure looks like. So within the Google Ads account, you'll have what we call these layered, the accounts are layered, right? So within each campaign, you have ad groups, and you can have as many ad groups as you want. And then within each ad group, you have your keywords, which then relate to your ads. So the best way to set this up is to get your keywords super focused. So that way you don't have a bunch of unrelated topics in one ad group, because then your relevancy and your ad score will decline. So this is what the campaign structure looks like. If you were on the social media advertising presentation a couple weeks ago, it is very similar to that, where your campaign holds your ad groups, which holds your ads. And then there's some basic terms you should get familiar with before you get started with Google Ads. You have your basic terms. Number one is keyword. This is the phrases or words people type into the Google search in order to find you, which trigger your ad to appear. You pick keywords that you think your people are searching for, and there is a tool within Google Ads that I didn't go into in this presentation. That's a keyword finder that will help you find related terms. Like I said, if you feel overwhelmed by this, feel free to reach out to Elena and we can connect you with someone so we can help you with that. Your bid is the maximum amount you're willing to pay when someone clicks on your ad. So when your ads show up in the search results, you don't pay for those ads in the search or in the shopping. You only pay when someone clicks on your ad, or if you choose your conversion, like different bidding strategies, you can choose just to pay when somebody purchases from you, or you can choose just to pay when someone clicks. So there are different bidding strategies. Your quality score is a metric that tells you how relevant your search keywords are to your ad and your landing page. So when you're getting started, a lot of people just want to create something very quickly and send everybody to the homepage. But if you have specific products, you should be sending people specifically to the landing pages or that web page that is directly related to the keyword. Google is all about user experience. So if you sell yellow sundresses and you're sending somebody to a page with red sundresses, your quality score is going to tank. And Google knows everything, so don't try it. Your ad rank helps determine where your ads will show up. So typically, and this is more relevant with your Google search ads, they usually have between 3 and 5 ads at the top of the page. And depending on your rank, that will determine if you're position 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. A lot of businesses really try to push for the first position, and you just might want to play around with where you are in the search results, because sometimes you're paying for the number 1 spot and you don't notice many more conversions than if you were in the 2nd or 3rd spot. There are some advantages of being in the first place spot that I'll go over later in this presentation. Your cost per click is how much you pay when someone clicks on your ad. So this is not always You don't owe, if you are bidding $1 for a click, you don't always pay $1. There's a range of possible costs. So Google takes the liberty to either spend a little bit more or less, depending on how strong they feel the lead is. But also, the higher your quality score, the less you pay in an auction. Conversion is when somebody takes an action that you decide is important. So that could be a purchase, but it could also be if somebody is picking up the phone to call you, or if somebody is signing up for a newsletter, or if somebody's opting into anything you have on your site. You get to control what you see as a conversion, and then Google will optimize for whatever action you select. Any questions so far? All right. So creating your account. You just go to ads.google.com. This is the first step. And then you click on the little button that says Start Now. They have a ton of different, you'll see this along the process, opportunities for you to speak or chat with somebody. Down here, they have a phone number. You're also able to enable the chat function all the way throughout this process. You have to have a Gmail account or a G Suite account. And down the road, you can switch, like once you get started, you could switch that to allow certain domains, but to get going, you need your a Google Ads account. That's the same with Google Analytics, Google Tag Manager. All of those platforms do require you to have a Google account. Then you choose your advertising goal, but I'm going to show you a little trick that I find it so much easier to create. Down at the bottom, it says, are you a professional marketer? Switch to expert mode. And don't panic, but I find you have more control when you switch to the expert mode, and I'm going to show you why. So if you get here, and you pick one, it kind of bottlenecks you into the type of campaigns you're able to choose. You're not able to see all of your options. So once you select one of these as your main advertisement goal in this mode, it doesn't allow you to see your other options. And if you're just getting started and you're not familiar with all the terms, you'll be like, man, I really wanted to place an ad here. But once you select one of these goals, you're kind of not allowed to. You can create additional campaigns later, but it gets very confusing, especially when you're just getting going. So come down here and switch to expert mode. And then it opens up this. So you're able to see all the different campaign goals that you can choose. And as you can see, they have a help option down here. And at the top, I just wanted to point that out because they are trying to get you to spend your money. So they want to help you at every step of the way. This is very different from some of the social advertising platforms that it's really hard to get someone on the phone or through chat to speak for help. But this, Google does an excellent job at customer service. And if you're looking at this and you're saying, I'm not sure what objective or what goal I should choose, don't worry, because Google makes it easy. So what they do is, if you hover over any of these, it will tell you all the different campaign types and what the objectives are. So if you're like looking at them and you're not sure which one you wanted to go with, just hover over those and the little pop-up will give you all the types of campaigns that you could use. I like to choose a campaign without a goals guidance. You're able to select a more specific goal down the road in this process, but I like to start with doing a campaign without a guidance. I like to have the most control over all of my settings. So I go with this one. Oop. And then when you choose that one, it gives you the option and you could see what all of the ads look like and all of the placements. So that opens up this screen where you're able to see all the different places that your ads can appear. So you'll see, like for the search ads, it's the text ad, the display, where you're seeing your ads, video, etc. It has the shopping grayed out because you do have to do this through Start with Merchant, through Google Merchant, and then you are able to choose local or discovery. through this as well. And the discovery can be managed through display as well. So choosing your keywords. This is the backbone of Google Ads, and this can be very overwhelming. So I wanted to show you how Google breaks down their keyword structure. So you have it in broad match, phrase match, and exact match. So with broad match, your ads can show on the keyword that, for example, here is lawn mowing services. So for the broad match, if somebody typed in lawn aeration prices, your ads would show because it's a broad match that could be related to your keyword. If you wanted to get a little bit moderate or closer match, you would do the phrase match. And this is what you put in quotations. So all of your keywords when you're listing them is in quotations. And if somebody typed in any of these lawn mowing services near me, hire company to mow lawn, landscaping service to cut grass, all of those are more closely related to lawn mowing services and your ads would show. If you want the most control of your ads and you're really cost conscious, I recommend starting with exact match. And these, put your keywords in these little brackets, and the keywords have to be equivalent or the exact same meaning as your keyword. So if your keyword is lawn mowing service and you have it in these brackets here on the right, your ads will show for lawn mowing service and grass cutting services, but not lawn aeration prices. And they might show for the hire company to mow lawn, but the exact match really work really hard to make sure that the meaning is interpreted almost identically to your keyword. Does anyone have any questions on that? I know that keywords can be so confusing, and this is where a lot of people get bottlenecked in Google Ads because it can be very overwhelming. Quiet brunch today. All right. So keep your keywords tight. Do not keyword dump. I know it can be so easy just to put all 875 keywords that you pulled from Moz or whatever other platform you use and dump all of your keywords into one campaign and one ad group. You do not want to do that. Your quality score and ad relevance will tank and you'll pay way more to show your ad than your competitor. You want to keep all of your themes aligned so you can give the user the greatest experience possible. This is all about serving your customer and giving them a pleasant experience. So in order to do that, you have to make sure that all of your keywords are very tightly wrapped up. So that way you're putting only like keywords with like keywords and sending them to a landing page that's very related to your keyword. You want to use what we call bullseye keywords. Group everything like together, make sure all your descriptions, images, and landing pages align. If any of these are out of alignment, your quality score will tank and you'll pay more for an ad. So it really is in your benefit. You'll save money if your quality score is higher. And the way you do that is by keeping your keywords really tight. You can also use negative keywords. So if there are some absolute keywords you never want your ad showing for, you put them in the negative keyword list, and they work the same way as keywords where you have the broad, phrase, and exact. So, just as a general rule of thumb, I have like a list of probably 150 keywords that I add to every campaign I run. Some are like the more vulgar keywords or super general stuff you don't ever want to show for. As a best practice, I just automatically upload those. But if there are any other type of keywords you just don't want to be shown for, like if you have products or services that are like more high end, you want to make sure you're putting in some of those negative keywords of your competitors that don't really have the same type of product. Or if you are like a fine jewelry company, you might want to put in things like, costume jewelry or, fake things like that, just to weed out the possibility of your ads ever showing. Because while Google is really good, they're not perfect. And especially when you're first getting going, Google is trying to prime all of your ads and show your ads to as many people as possible to try to get your conversions up. They look at a 90-day history, and that's how they kind of optimize your ads. So in the beginning, you might find your ads being shown to like not so relevant searches. And so you're always in there tweaking and adding to your keyword list. and your negative keyword list. Any questions so far? All right. You also have, next up is audience types. So there are all types of audience targeting in Google Ads. You have your basic demographics, and that's, your location settings, which you could target by zip code. You can target by city, you can target by state, you can target by country. Best practice is if you have opportunities to sell in other countries, to put each country in its own campaign. And then another best practice is sometimes you'll notice that like different demographics behave differently. So sometimes you can pull them out and put them in their own campaign. It really is dependent on your product or service. You can also target by ages. And this is another one you could pull out by campaign as well, like because sometimes the language of how you speak to a demographics is different. So if you have a product or service that serves two very different demographics, sometimes I'll pull them out in different campaigns. So that way the messaging, the wording on the ads and the imagery is most aligned with that target demographic. You can do this with genders. And you can also exclude some of these as well, right? So if you sell a product that's just for men, you can exclude women from viewing your searches. And also with device types, if you have an app, say that's only a Droid or only on Apple, you can also exclude by device type. Or if you don't want your ads shown on a TV, you only want them shown on a tablet or mobile or a desktop, you're able to control that as well. You have affinity, which are audiences that you can reach through Google search and display. These affinity audiences are not available in search, but this affinity and in-market, Google has been kind of mushing them together lately. So now they're used interchangeably. So, or can be used interchangeably. So in-market are ads that are shown to people who Google believes have previously made a purchase similar to your product and could still be interested enough to interact with your ads. So as you know, Google is not an internet company, they're a data company, right? So they're constantly collecting data and they're using that to refine who they're showing your ads to. And this is a step further with the custom intent. If a user has been searching over the last few weeks over a product with the intent to buy that is similar to your product or service, you can create audiences based on this, and you can add like competitor websites, different YouTube videos based on interest, and you can target those audiences based on their user behavior online. You also have similar audiences. So if you have a marketing list that you've created, I know we talk a lot about creating your list. If you have that list, you can upload that into Google and you can create what is called a similar audience. In social media advertising, it's called a lookalike. And Google will go out and find all of the users that are using Google that match your previous buyers. And then there's also remarketing audiences where you have users that have interacted with either your ads, website, or app. And you could do this based on where they interact on your website. So if you know somebody's landing on your yellow dress landing page, you can create ads for them based on yellow dresses. So that way they're constantly reminded. You could also do this like in a time lapse, right? So if you know your product has a longer path to purchase, and they were on your website, but you know it usually takes them 21 days to research, you can delay your ads not to be shown for 7 or 10 or whatever day amount you decide, and then start reintroducing them to your product or service. Or if you know your product or service has a shorter path to purchase, you could start to show them your ads right away and then say, they make a purchase by 10 days. If you haven't gotten that conversion, you can stop showing them ads at that time. So you can get very targeted and very controlled with who, when, and how you're showing your ads to your audiences. Any questions?
Hi, Amanda. This is Sandy Tremblay. I have a question. I put it in the chat regarding the when you're targeting an ad for demographics and so forth. Can it get as specific as targeting an industry or a specific profession, for instance, civil engineers in California?
You can target with the custom intent or behaviors online. There are different industries you can target. So yes and no, it's not as targeted as say like a LinkedIn ad would be, where you could target by like job title. But you are able to target by like the custom intent and those in-market audiences that Google decides they're in within that market. And then you can say only in California.
Okay, great. Can you drill down even further? So it's Southern California or
Yeah,
zip
you can do it by
code,
zip
or-
code. Yeah, so if you
Okay.
know a zip code and you say, I only want to target 1 mile around the zip code, you could do that.
Okay, great. Thanks.
Yeah, my pleasure. And if you know, is it Sandra? Was it Sandra or Sandy? I'm sorry.
Either way.
Okay, if you know the types of websites this demographic is looking on, so if they're like industry specific websites that user would spend time on, you could target based on those competitor websites.
So like, so we're involved in stormwater management. So try to find like a common theme with our competitors and use that as a keyword, like say stormwater infiltration or something like that.
Yep, and then also you can target by URLs with the custom intent audiences. So for example, I'm in marketing. So if I know my ideal client is probably spending some time on Forbes, they're probably spending some time on entrepreneur.com, they're probably spending some time, and I go down all of the websites that I know they're probably looking for marketing advice for, and then I can target them based on the websites they're visiting.
Including competitors?
Yeah, including competitors.
Okay, interesting.
Yep.
Okay,
You
thank
can't use competitors. You can bid on competitors' keywords, like you can bid on your competitors' brand names, but you can't put any of your competitors' brand names in your ads. So if you're
that's fine. But you was just talking about the URLs.
Yep, you can target users who visit that URL. Yes.
Huh. Okay.
So even like say your main competitor was Acme water, whatever.
Yep.
You as a keyword, you can put an Acme water mitigation or Acme water, but in your actual ad copy, you can't put the Acme brand in there.
Right, that would make sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
You can try and Google will shut you down. It's not worth it, but you'll have people who try just to like get their ads out there for like 10 hours or 5 hours, however long it takes Google. I don't think it's worth it because Google can shut your account down, but people do crazy things. So,
well, I would think that would impact our brand reputation as well.
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely. Great question. Any other questions? All right, budget and bidding. So unless you're an experienced Google ad user, I do recommend you start kind of small, and it's for a couple of reasons. One is when you're first getting started, your ads might be shown to audiences or for keywords you're not really excited about. So you have to go in kind of daily in the beginning and audit and just constantly delete and block different keywords or apps, or you could say, please don't show these. And number two, Google can spend up to 30% over your daily budget. So if your daily budget is $100, it could spend up to $130 a day to target your ads, to show your ads, and that can add up really quickly. There is an advanced script you can add to the back end of Google's that will cause your ads to shut off right when it hits your daily budget. If you're interested in that, I can get that to you, and you just have to add it into a sheet and then code a little bit on the back end. It sounds way scarier than it is. But it's also important to remember that over the course of 30 days, Google will stay within your daily budget. So for example, if your daily budget is $10, over the course of 30 days, it will average about $300 for the month. And there may be some days that spend a lot more and some days that spend less. But if you're very budget conscious, just please start small and then build up. So that way you don't get some sticker shock when you get a bill and you're like, I have no idea why they're spending, you know, a third more, 33% more. So be aware of that. If the main goal of your website is just to get traffic, then clicks is a good place to start. There's different bidder strategies where you can bid based on clicks. You can bid based on impressions. So if your main goal is like visibility and brand recognition, sometimes it's nice to start with impressions, because even though they're not clicking on your site, if they're seeing your brand over and over again, it begins to build that brand recognition. And then there's also something called cost per viewable mil, and that's by 1,000 impressions. So you're paying every time somebody sees your ad is viewed 1,000 times. And that, you're probably thinking like, how do you know how many times your ad was seen? Google does all their calculations on the back end, and you just put your max bid, and then they'll be able to calculate that for you. You can also do target CPA, where you can say, I know it costs $80 to acquire a new customer, so I'm going to bid $80 and let Google go out and get as many conversions as they can, and I'm willing to pay $80 for each conversion. So, if you know profitably you can spend $80 and you have the ability, they'll be able to get you unlimited sales at that price. One thing to note, the target CPA bidding is called usually lowercase t CPA bidding. It takes some conversion history on your site. So if your site doesn't have a strong conversion history, I don't recommend going for target CPA, because you're either going to overspend for your CPA or the campaign is going to underperform. So if you're currently spending $100 for an acquisition, right, for a conversion, and you put in $80 target CPA, Google's not going to find you any sales. But if you know right now you're at 100, you can start at 100, make tweaks, optimize your campaign, and begin to lower that target CPA so the bidding gets more aggressive and it starts finding more competitive leads. For video views, you can do focus on views. And this is something that you can do like cost per view, cost per mil, and then that is only focused on video views. So the whole point of this is to get eyes on your videos. And there are more bidding strategies in this. I just want to add that, you can do based on clicks, views, target CPA, enhanced CPA, where you're telling Google, my budget is, kind of, $10 a day, but if you think you can find somebody for more than that, spend as much as you need just to get me a conversion. So there are different ways that you can bid. And Google is an auction. So if you're saying that, and it only requires a 1 cent differentiator, right? So if you're saying your max bid is $10, but your competitor is saying their max bid is $10.01, if all things are equal, your competitor is going to win. However, your bid pricing depends on where you are as far as your quality score, right? So if you have a really high quality score, you're going to pay far less than your competitor if their quality score is lower. So if your quality score is an 8 or 9, but your competitors is a 7, you're going to win the auction bid for less than somebody who's a 7. So the person who has a quality score of 7 is going to pay more for the exact same thing there. So say you're paying $8, they're going to pay 10 or 12, just as an example. But if your quality score is like an 8 or 9 and your competitors is a 10, they're going to pay a whole lot less to win the auction than you are. And then other things that impact your ads is your extension and other formats. So the more information you add to your ad, the more your quality score will go up. These are called ad extensions. So if you're adding a phone number and like a contact us form and all of these, Google sees that as more relevant to the user and they'll have a better experience. So your quality score goes up. Any questions? All right. So for search ads, there are 3 main components, which is your headline, your description, and your URL. So you have up to 3 headlines to use. You get 30 characters each. And the headlines are separated by the pipe, which is the vertical line right there. And they may not always show headline 2 and 3. So when you're creating your headlines, usually 1 and 2 show together. So make sure your headline 1 and headline 2 are very strong at the very least. And then headline 3, think of more as supplemental. And then the same thing with your descriptions. They're not always going to show both descriptions and 90 characters. So when you're creating your ads, make sure they're able to be mixed and matched fluidly, because you have no control over how your ads present unless you only enter in headline 1 and headline 2. Then you'll have a little bit more control. There's also an option for like dynamic ads where you're able to enter like 5 headlines and 5 descriptions, and you allow Google to mix and match as they see fit. You'll have your display URL, and this is usually in green and it shows your website's address. And it could be different than your actual URL, and I'll cover that later in the presentation. And then for your description, you want to be as detailed as you can about your product or service and make sure it's related to your keywords. The goal is to get someone to take action to click on your site. So when people are reading ads, they're going to go between yours and your competitors, and whatever they feel is more relevant, they're going to click on. So for display ads, it can be a little bit more complicated. There are 12 common sizes. And it can be overwhelming if you're like, oh my goodness, I have to create 12 ad sizes. It is overwhelming, which is why I love responsive ads, which are ads that you enter in 3 ad sizes, and then Google will crop them and place them where they see fit. And then for the responsive ads, you have up to 5 headlines, and you also have your descriptions and your long headline, and Google will mix and match them to be most relevant to the searcher based on their data. So you'll not be able to control which headlines and descriptions go together, but they will tell you which one is the winning headline. So you're able to say, okay, this one is the winning one. And then you'll be able to go in and try to I like to play a game where I'm always trying to beat my best performing headline and description. Because if you're always trying to improve that, your quality score goes up, user experience goes up, and everybody's happy because you're paying less money for ads. So for YouTube ad specs, there's 4 main types of ads.
Trying to see where the poop was.
Somebody's not muted. So for YouTube ad specs, you have 4 main types of ads. You have your skippable, non-skippable, bumper, and overlay. So for those of you who spend any time on YouTube, you're probably familiar with all of these. The skippable is you're able to skip after 5 seconds. The non-skippable, you're not able to skip through them. You have to watch the whole ad. These tend to be more expensive, obviously, because you're pretty much forcing a user to view your content. So bumper ads are like the little tiny ad that comes up before a video, and they're short. They're 6 seconds. There's no opportunity to skip, and they get right to the point. And then you have your overlay, which are these small, like almost transparent images that go over the lower 20% of a video. And then shopping ads. These are the most complicated. As I said before, you have to have a Google Merchant account. You decide where you want your customers to check out, and that is either on your website or through like a Google checkout. You link it to your Google Ads, you upload your product specs and your feed, and it has to be through a Google Sheet. You have to configure all of your business settings, taxes, shipping, your return policy, all of that. And then you go into Google Ads, link it, and you're able to control the placements. Any questions?
Amanda, we do have a question.
Sure.
Mary asked, where do the display ads show?
So display ads can show anywhere, really. They display on pretty much any website that sells ad space. So like you think of any major news network, you think of one of the ones I found was on Forbes.com, but any website that you ever go to that you see images like either in the top or the side, those are where your displayed ads can show. And you can select, if you know there's only specific websites you want your ads to show on, you can select the placements. It will get more expensive. Obviously, like ad space on Forbes.com is going to be a lot more expensive than say ad space on like, WJAR, right? So like you can choose your placements, or you could say, I just want to be wherever my user is when they're searching online. And then you can go in and say, Google, you find out where they are once they visit my website. I want them to see my ad for 10 days, just wherever they are, show it for 10 days. But pretty much if you'll notice it now, whatever website you're on, if you start noticing ads on the side, the top, in between content. Have you ever been reading an article and there'll be an ad dead center in the middle of your article and you scroll past it? Those are all display ads. So when you're reading like your articles or, you know, I read a lot of stuff on skincare. So I spend a lot of time on these skincare sites. So like I'll be reading an article and then in the middle of it will be a product about skincare. So it's a vague answer because they're really like Google has like hundreds of millions of sites they could potentially place your ad on. So it really depends on your targeting. Does that answer your question?
Thank you, Amanda. While we're
My
waiting for
pleasure.
Mary to answer that, Lauren also asks, is there a good optimization time for the ad? Do they suggest keeping the ad up for a certain amount of time for it to optimize, or does optimization time depend on the type of ad that you are choosing?
The optimization depends on a few things, right? So Google will tell you the time of day that your ad performs the best, and you can go in there and say, I only want my ads to show 9 to 5. It'll also tell you the day of the week your ad performs the best. They'll give you all of this data, but really what makes an ad successful is determined by your goal, right? So if your ad is if your main goal is getting signups for a newsletter and you're not getting signups after, you know, a week or so, it's time to go in there and think about, okay, are people clicking on your ad? And if the answer is no, then you might need to change your ad copy. You might need to change your image. Are people clicking on your ad, but they're not spending time on your website? Then you have to look at your load speed. Maybe your website's taking too long to load, and when they click on your ad, they get frustrated and leave. Or are they landing on your page, but only going to 1 or 2 pages? You might have to improve your website experience or where you're sending them to. So there's not an easy answer on how to optimize or how long it takes. It really, for me, depends on the budget. So if you have a smaller budget, it's going to take longer to get data. But if you have a higher budget and you're spending, you know, a few $100 and you're not getting a result that you need, then it's time to evaluate your ad. And that can be your placement, it can be your targeting, it could be your ad copy, it could be your landing page. So like I have like a little checklist that I go down. You know, I start with, are they clicking on the ad? Okay, yes. So it's not the ad copy, right? Or maybe not immediately. Are they loading the page? No. Okay, load speed. And then I just go down the list to check to see, and always troubleshooting, always A/B testing, right? I talked earlier about like if I have a really high performing ad, I'm always trying to beat that ad copy, creating new ads to compete against it to try to be most relevant to the user. I hope that answers your question. I know it was a really long answer.
Thank you, Amanda. So far, there's no other questions.
Perfect. Okay, so then there's extras. And have you ever noticed if you go into Google and you search something, you'll have some of these really big ads and you have like, they take up a lot of real estate. And these are all your ad extensions. And so usually the first ad is the only one who shows all of this real estate. And that's because they're winning this auction. You know, they have, I searched trip to Mexico, and they have in 2 of their headlines, the keyword Mexico, right? So Mexico vacations, all inclusive Mexico. In their description, they have Mexico vacation packages. And so then they're hitting all of their keyword, and then their landing page is expedia.com/Mexico/package. I know I'm going to be brought to a page that's about Mexico. And so they have won this auction for all of these reasons. I'm sure their quality score for this ad or this keyword is probably like a 9 or a 10. And so they're able to get all of that real estate. And then you also have ad callouts. This was the second ad. And you could see they have Mexico in one of the headlines, but not in the second. And then in their description, there's no mention of Mexico, which is probably why they didn't win the auction. But these little blue last line of ad copy, those are all called callouts. And you can add like little text to kind of give an idea of like the type of offerings your business has. And it'll send them to like, you can link to a page with all inclusive vacations or whatever each one says. So all of these improve your quality score. So when you're going in and creating your ad, you want to add as much information as you can. Oop. No, we want to go back. We want to go back. All right, landing page. So where you send your customer matters. It matters 100%. Have you ever searched for something in Google and when you click on a link, it doesn't bring you to where you need to go? Like that is one of the most frustrating things ever. And this is one of the reasons why companies have a really hard time with SEO, right? Because nothing is relevant. We're not putting the user first. And everything you create on your website, every layout, every description, it should all be customer focused. What is most going to answer your customer's burning desire? So for example, I was here searching for yellow dresses and you click on one and I'm brought to a page with all these yellow dresses. You click on another, I'm brought to a page with like red dresses. Which one is a better experience if somebody's searching for yellow dresses? So you want to be really conscious about where you're sending people, because if I land on this web page with the red dresses, I'm looking for something yellow, I'm going to bounce. You know, their bounce rate's going to be high, and their quality score is going to tank, and they're going to pay more for an ad. And so then you also have two different URLs. You have the URL the user sees, and then the display URL. So the actual URL, if I'm clicking on this, you can see this long, you know, hellomolly.com collections dresses. GCLID is Google Click ID. They attribute that every ad somebody clicks on has a Google Click ID. And then you have these long letters. But if you have that in your ad, your user, have you ever looked at an ad and then the URL doesn't match what they're saying their brand is? You're like a little bit skeptical to click on it. You're like, what are all of those letters? Like, I don't feel safe clicking on that. Versus the display URL that's very simple. And what the person sees in the ad is the second one that's highlighted in green versus the actual URL. Before we dig in a little bit more to quality score, does anyone have any questions?
None so far, Amanda.
Perfect. Quality score. This will determine how much you pay for an ad. So if all things are equal, the person with the higher quality score is going to win the auction. So it's measured on a scale of 1 to 10, and they're available at each keyword level. So if you have like 50 keywords in an ad group, you'll be able to see the quality score for each of those keywords. And the goal is always trying to get them all 8 or higher. Like you don't want anything below an 8. A 1 to 7 is, you're going to pay a whole lot more for your ads. You really want 9s and 10s across the board. And this is all data they compare your ad and your landing page and how useful your product or service experiences versus your competitor will determine your quality score. So if you and your competitor are both bidding on the same keywords and they're sending their end user to a better landing page that answers more questions of what the user is looking for, their quality score is going to be higher than yours, and they're going to pay less for an ad. They're going to pay less to be at number 1 than you'll pay to be at number 2 or 3. So it's really important to always focus on your quality score. There is a diagnostic tool within Google Ads, and it shows you right in the column, right when you go to the keyword level, and you can always try to improve that with, you know, better tighten up your keyword groups, your ads, copy, your headlines and your descriptions, and where you're sending your users. It's based on 3 components, and that's the expected click-through rate. Google is able to tell which ad somebody's more likely to click on, your ad relevance, how closely does your ad match the intent behind a user search. So if your ad brings somebody to orange dresses when they're looking for yellow dresses, your ad relevance is going to drop. And they do this by like above average, average, or below average. And then each of these will have that metric. And then your landing page experience is, where are you sending them once they click on your ad? Is it relevant to the ad copy and the keywords? If it is, you'll have an above average landing page status. But if you don't, then it'll be like below average. And then they take however they attribute the points of each of these, and they add up and give you a score. So before we conclude, do we have any questions?
No
I know
questions.
it's a lot of information. So in conclusion, take time organizing this. Do not rush it. It can be, we want to appear everywhere our customer is going to be, but if you don't take the time to really think this through and get like your campaign structure organized and like what are your ads going to say and where you're going to send them, you're going to spend money, you're going to overpay for ads and you're not going to get the experience. And then you're going to say Google ads don't work. And I mean, I say this when I'm talking about social media advertising as well. All of these platforms work. It's just that what you're putting out is not working. You need to do some tweaks, you need to make some changes, or maybe your budget is too small and it takes longer for you to get the results you're looking for. But these platforms work. You just got to pay attention to the details. Keep your eye on analytics, what's working, what's not. And if something's not working, it's okay to change. It's okay to switch up your keywords or switch up your ads, the ad copy, and just always be working towards your quality score to improve that. If you have a high quality score, if you have 9s and 10s across the board, you can be sure you're not overpaying for your ads. But if you have lower quality scores, you're definitely overpaying. I also included a list of all of the resources. You can click on all of these. To create a Google account is the first link. Google Ads for Beginners, there's some courses there. I explained the auction, the responsive ads, some YouTube. I wanted to make sure I gave a resource for each of the type of ads and then how to improve your quality score. Any questions?
Any questions from anyone? I know, like Amanda said, there was a lot thrown at
Yeah.
you, but